Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, breaking down the Canes. We got the wholesome one on the line, a wholesome one, Holloway, 1219. The U family there on YouTube. There he is. Wholesome one, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. I'm blessed to see another day, and it's always great to come on and speak about the Canes.
Yeah, for about 3 or 4 consecutive weeks, the wholesome ones joined us to talk Miami football and go through a Q&A section. So these are questions coming directly from the comments section on the Miami videos. And of course, we invite you to jump in the live chat, and I will be scanning the live chat for your comments and questions to pass on to the wholesome one. And who knows, I may have a comment or two to make as well on Miami football. All right, let's get revved up here. Here we go. And of course, like, comment, share the videos, and subscribe right here, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. And as soon as we get done here, if you have not subscribed to the wholesome one, please do so. HOLSUM. You'll see his name on the screen in just a second right here on YouTube. We got Trenchmade Rel commenting on 3 players that Miami cannot let leave the state in Cortez McKenzie, Ja'Cory Brooks, and Artez Hooker Jr.
Big-time playmakers, all 3. 2 wide receivers and 1 running back. Just guys from South Florida, and they are just, Mark, every year South Florida has a really high percentage of, blue chip recruits that go on to these other institutions. And what made the University of Miami great was the ability to keep these young men here. Nowadays, you got to win to do that. And with this new offense and Coach Ritt Lashley and some of the recruiters that are on that side of the ball, like Coach Telly Lockett, and bringing in Coach Hippolyte, who are from South Florida and who are South Florida former head coaches at Miami Central and also at Hollandale when it comes to Coach Hippolyte and Carroll City from Coach Hippolyte. When you bring in men like that, you have the ability to keep these young men home. But because it's a familiar face. But, Mark, you got to add winning on the other side of that. And like I spoke about on my live last night, it's a 3-part bridge. Recruiting is a bridge. And the development of those players is a part of that. So you start out with the recruitment. And on your way through that bridge, halfway through, you have the development. And on the other half of that bridge, you have production. And at Miami, we've had this drop in the middle of that bridge to where they've been recruited, but the developmental part has been on and off. And then they expect results at the end. And what I mean by they is us as analysts, us as fans, the players themselves. So we have taken a big up in the quality of coaches. But at the end of the day, recruiting is about 2 things: winning and relationships. Miami has started to rebuild those relationships with our recruits, but we got to get the first part of that done also, Mark, and that's winning. And then we're able to start bringing in young men like that to stay here and play for Miami, because as of right now, they're all Florida leans. I mean, Florida is balling in the state right now. 2 New Year's 6 wins back-to-back, 11 wins this year, and I think they had 10 last year. So double-digit seasons back-to-back. Dan Mullen has things going in Gainesville, and you're beating the Canes on the field. You beat the Canes in recruiting. In the state of Florida, you're doing pretty well, and he's also winning in the SEC. Just got to get over that Georgia hump, and we'll see if he'll ever be able to do that. But when it comes to those 3 recruits, man, we got to be able to win if we want to have a real opportunity to keep them and make them Miami Hurricanes.
In an odd way, this is a positive that despite the losing season at 6-7 and a mediocre season even before that at 7-6, Miami was the highest ranked recruiting class from a team that had a losing season last year, which for having a new coaching staff and a new head coach is one positive, in that without having the proof of concept, as we call it, in winning the double-digit games, he was able to reel in the top recruits. Now, you don't want to have that distinction again. Have it one time that we had the best recruiting class from a team that had a losing record last year. Then you want to get past that. But to be able to do it one time and still reel in a top 13 class in the nation with a 6-7 record, nobody else is doing that. South Carolina was close. They had a top 20 class at 4-8 last year. Florida State, of course, with the top 20 to 22 class at 5-7. But Miami certainly had the best. We got the wholesome one on the line. Wholesome One Holloway, the U family. So please join them right there on YouTube as well. Please like, comment, share the videos, and subscribe. Victor Gutierrez. I'm taking these comments straight from our Miami videos that we've had with Cam Underwood and the Wholesome One. And also, I'm going to be checking out the live chat here in just a second. So Dan Enos promised a simple offensive scheme.
Mm-hmm.
When you say simple, that can be good. That can be not so good, depending on the interpretation. Rhett Lashley has made comments of the same vein. This fan, Victor Gutierrez, is a bit leery in having possibly too simple of an offense.
Absolutely. You don't want that to happen. But what Coach Rhett Lashley is saying is he wants it to be simplistic for the players, but very complex for opponents. What he means by that is he wants to be able to, because to have an up-tempo air raid spread offense, you have to be able to, I wouldn't say master, but you got to be able to know exactly what you're doing, because we're going to be going fast. You got to know the snap count. You got to know where you're running. You got to know whether it's run or pass, all those type of things. You have to be up on those things if you want to play in the Rhett Lashley offense and if you want to go up tempo. So what Rhett Lashley is doing and what Coach Rhett Lashley is saying is that he wants it to be simplistic enough to where our players can play with freeness, they can play aggressive, and they can play with confidence. But he also wants it to be complex for our opponents, basically talking about formations and having to study all these different formations, all these different route combinations that also look similar when they come out in 2x2. With Dan Enos, you knew for a fact only one or two things were happening: goals or slants when they came out 2x2. But now we can come out in 2x2, we can come out in bunch, we can come 3x1, we can come in 12 personnel, 11, 22 personnel, and it'll look the same, but it's a completely different play about to come to you. And that's what he wants, is the way our players can get very fluent. They can speak it. They can speak the Rhett Lashley offense fluently. If you learn a new language, it takes a little while, especially if it's complex. But if it's something that's natural to you, if it's something that you can just flow and it rolls off the tongue well to you, you can roll your R's in Spanish and things of that nature. If you can keep that going, then it makes it a lot easier. And that's what Coach Rhett Lashley wants our players to do, man. Play like you were in high school. I'm going to help you. I'm going to coach you up. But I want this to feel natural. I want this to feel simplistic to you. But when we play teams, I want them to be very complex in their approach of how they're going to try to stop what we're going to do offensively.
Rolling the R's was always a bit sketchy for me. Sometimes I could do it, and then the next time I try, I couldn't do it, and thought, why could I do it the last time I tried? Now I can't do it. Yeah.
Being in Miami, especially being born and raised in the Hialeah, Miami Lakes area, you don't know Spanish, but you know a little Spanish, and rolling R is
there.
Easy.
It is.
Ramirez, Rojo, like rolling the R, it's not hard when you've heard it, for so long.
The way things have been for me for the last 2 weeks, I'm just trying to get any kind of vocal utterance out. We're just getting over something, but feeling good today. Andy Raphael on the line, looking at the striker position. So I don't know if he's just offering these three up or trying to make a decision here between who should get the nod between Bolden, Hall, and Carter.
Okay, so Bubba Bolden, my hashtag light skin warrior, is he is more of a free safety type. I mean, he's a big guy, man. 6'3", 190 to 200. I mean, I think he peaked at 205 at one point in the season, but he wasn't really a big, heavy dude. He's tall and lanky, but he's very fast. So having him close to the line of scrimmage theoretically sounds good. And of course, he can play the striker. He's that athletic enough. A former 5-star safety, commit to USC, signed with USC. So he's a very athletic player. But for the betterment of his future, he probably wants to be a free safety. He does best at the free safety, either free or strong. But striker is going to be someone that's close to the line of scrimmage. He's going to have to tackle running backs in open field, tackle tight ends. It's basically a buck linebacker, elephant. Your Troy Polamalu, your Cam Chancellor type of guys, your Isaiah Simmons type of guys. And the last two that I said, Isaiah Simmons and Cam Chancellor, they weren't 190. They're upwards of 220, 225. So you want your bigger guys. And now I think that having Amari Carter there would be huge. Is bringing Amari Carter from strong safety and bringing him down because he's 205, 210 pounds. He's 6'2". He's a big, heavy hitter. He's a thick dude. He's a swole guy. So having him in that, I think it would be a great transition, especially making him a top third or fourth round guy is putting him in the striker. He's a draftable and he is an NFL player regardless, but I believe he would be a day 2 guy or an early day 3 guy if he were to be a striker because it fits what he does well even better than being 15 yards off. He can be 8 to 5 and come make a play. And it'll also help with the targeting issue of being so far and having all that momentum and hitting somebody. Well, if you're in closer proximity to the player, it makes it a little easier to avoid those targeting penalties.
We love all the highs and hellos in the live chat. For myself and the Wholesome One, we also have Lenoris Murray a day ago commenting, H1, great job.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a good one, so I appreciate that. It means a lot.
Myers, 1981 on the screen. Who has the most to gain? So we'll have to leave this up to interpretation. Who has the most to gain from the spring with multiple players out? Obviously, a situation I would guess where because of injuries, maybe somebody's got an opportunity to show what they're worth.
You know, Mark, being on here the last 2 weeks, it's been some really good questions, man. you guys come with some great questions, and I do appreciate it so much, man. That's huge. So last time we were on here, just last Friday, we spoke about a lot of the players that were going to be out for spring due to injuries. So I'll give it a rerun on those, and then we'll break down some of the people who I predict to step up and who will, be able to show the coaches who and what they can bring to the table because someone is out with injury. So you got Bubba Bolden, who's going to be out partially with that ankle injury that he suffered in Tallahassee midway through the season. So that gives players like Gervin Hall and Keontre Smith, who are behind him on the depth chart, an opportunity to get more of those reps, to be on Green Tree practice field, to be in the Carroll Sulphur and show what they can do, taking first and second team reps as opposed to second and third team reps and doing it on a consistent basis until Light Skin Warrior Bubba Bolden is able to come back and start slowly taking a little bit more of those reps because he's probably the best defensive player we have going into the 2020 season, excluding Gregory Rousseau. But they're like 1A, 1B. The running back position is somewhere we're going to be looking for Cam Harris to take that next step. Someone who has played the second back to DJ Dallas, who's a great Miami Hurricane over the last decade or so here. He's going to be taking a step to become that guy. But Don Chaney Jr., borderline 5-star running back, is out with a shoulder injury the entire spring. So that opens up for guys like Robert Burns, who has been waiting on a chance to strap the jet to his back and take off a big guy, a very strong, very fast guy, really hard to bring down. And you saw that later on towards the end of the season, against Duke and against FIU that he played a lot of. He had a lot of carries in those games. But Jalen Knighton, Rooster, gets an opportunity to show what he can do. And he is fast, quick, dynamic speed, super athlete, even better person, according to any interview you've ever watched on Jalen Knight. Rooster is a great, great young man. And he's going to have an opportunity as an early enrollee to give his viewpoint into things and what he has to bring to the table, who I predicted as a third down starter for us as our scat back, catching balls out the backfield, motioning to the slot, things of that nature when it comes to Jalen Knight. Another player that is hurt is a fan favorite, Brevin Jordan. So he's the best tight end in college football. He is. The production that he has had.
I hear you and Cam say that all the time, and every time I hear it, I think, okay, I got to start searching through my mind in terms of trying to come up with an argument for somebody else, but I have yet to do it. So continue on there, Wholesome One. I didn't mean to interrupt, but Cam makes the same comment all the time, and I keep thinking, man, I want to jump on that to give at least a little pushback, but I've yet to come up with anyone.
Because you can't. he is the best right now. And definitely, if it wasn't for injuries and the misusage of him under Danny, he would have won the Mackey. I mean, he was in that conversation, and we lost it to a guy from FAU just because that guy played the last 3 games of the season. But injuries are something you can't control. But Coach Dan Enos did not use him well the latter half of that season, the 2019 season. But with Brevin Jordan being out, this allows guys like Dominic Memorelli, an early enrollee 2 freshman. You got guys like Michael Irvin II, who we've been waiting to take a step. Guys like Larry Hodges, 6'1.5", 6'2". He played fullback for us early on before we threw the red shirt on him. And Will Mallory. Those 4 guys are going to have an opportunity to step up and make plays under the Red Lashley off. And I think all 5 of them will play. Every dressable offensive player who knows the playbook will play with Red Lashley. He loves to rotate across the board. And I think all 5 of those tight ends will get some playing time this year. Most likely 3 to 4 as far as significant lead play time, but all 5 will get snaps. Another thing is going to have to be the health of Wayman Steed, who I predicted to be a starter. Miami Central linebacker from the 2018 recruiting class, I want to say. 2018, 2017, somewhere in that recruiting class. Excuse me if I'm wrong, but Sam Brooks is going to miss it with the shoulder injury. He's going to miss spring. All right. So therefore, Wayman Steed is going to have to step up next to Zach McLeod on the inside of that 4-2-5. And it'll be year 2.5, year 3 of us getting into that 4-2-5 defense. So I think we'll be pretty good in the defense there for a while. But Sam Brooks is going to be out, so I think Wayman Steed is going to step up and has a lot to say about that. With Don Chaney Jr. being out, Robert Burns and Jalen Knighton have a lot to say and a lot to step up about that. And with Brevin Jordan being out at tight end, all the scholarship tight ends have an opportunity to shine this spring, not being behind those guys.
First on the tight end position. So, yes, Florida Atlantic's Harrison Bryant won the Mackey Award. Also, as semifinalist, you've got Hunter Bryant of Washington, Bryson Hopkins, Purdue, Brevin Jordan, Miami, Charlie Kolar of Iowa State, Albert, I can never pronounce or remember how to pronounce his last name, Albert O with Mizzou, Colby Parkinson, Stanford, obviously always producing great tight ends, and Western Michigan's Giovanni Ricci. The Power 5 guys are the guys that I've seen, and yeah, I'm not pointing to any of those guys being better than Brevin Jordan. I'm not. Albert O at Mizzou would be the next best for me personally. Looking at the D-line, wholesome one, you already touched upon it. I don't know if you've got anything else to add. You kind of brushed upon the defensive line, but Hurricane Logan, good to see you, Hurricane Logan.
Logan, good to have you on here, man.
And reminding people to like and comment and share and do all those good things. Just mentioning with the lack of experience and reps that the D had last year with the first year as head coach and D coordinator, he has no concerns about the defensive line being good this year again.
Well, that's, like I said, wait and see approach as far as production. But at the end of the day, you got Nasty Nestor Silvera. You know, that's the jersey that I wear, the one jersey that I wear. He's one of my favorite players. That's probably already answering your questions that you had for me here in a couple weeks as far as like best and favorite current player and all that type of stuff. Mine is Nasty Nestor, man. I have a soft spot for him, but I really, really like the way that he plays the game, man. And when he's focused, he's one of the better defensive tackles in the ACC. Definitely the best returning D tackle on our team going into next season. But if we want to talk about defensive line, you got to start the conversation off with Gregory Rousseau and Quincy Roche. You know, bringing those two guys and adding, what is that? 28 sacks between those two guys from last year to this year. If 13 and 15 together, that would be 28, correct?
15, 13. You're there. 28.
All right. That's actually really, I suck at math. So that's good. I'm a calm major.
I'm a step ahead of you, maybe.
I was a calm undergrad, so I'm not a math guy. But that is, you can't expect that exact same production, but just having both of those men on the field will be huge to have both of them. And that edge rush will work together with our coverage. being able to get after the QB allows the coverage to roam and play aggressive and play free because they know that you can't hold on to the ball too long. What helped Jaquan Johnson and Sheldrick Redwine was the production of R.J. McIntosh and Kendrick Norton and Joe Jackson and Trent Harris and Chad Thomas, and having those guys get after the QB and stop the run allowed them to play aggressive and free in the back four. And then when the ball was in the air, just go get it. Just attack it because he has to get rid of the ball before they get to him. So the defensive line and the secondary, where we had some inexperience last season, we're going to have a lot of those guys come back this year. And they're going to be working together in the defense again for the second season under Coach Blake Baker. So I believe that it's going to be – I agree with him. Defensive line is something I'm a little worried about as far as experience, but I know that they are going to be ready to play, especially first game being Temple. It's in LSU. It's in Alabama. It's Temple. So we got some time to pull this together and to grow as a team.
We've got a couple comments in the live chat concerning the recent hire of GA Brendan Hippolyte. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. Don't know if you've got anything on him, but you've obviously got an extremely close connection and wealth of knowledge and perspective on the GA position.
Yeah.
And maybe that's something that a lot of people don't know about. We hear it all the time, graduate assistant. And then we see all the tremendous coaches across college football. And if you look at the top rung or the bottom rung, depending on the resume, this is typically what you see is the graduate assistant position. So maybe give us some background on exactly what, and I'm sure it varies from school to school to a certain extent, but based on your experience and your thoughts about that position and exactly what does that entail?
Gotcha. Sure. No problem. So at this level, the FCS level here at North Dakota State, a graduate assistant in what I do is I am former defensive lineman. So I'm a GA for defensive line. But what that entails for me was film. The first half of it, I did film. I had to, film the warm-ups. I had to film stretching. I had to do all that type of stuff as far as, are these guys doing it correctly? What's the right technique? As far as even something as simple as a get off, are they keying in on the flex of the knee when they're about to kick as far as the offensive tackle? Where's the head of that defensive lineman? Where are they looking? Are they looking at the ball? Or are they looking at the offensive tackle? Even as far as steps and hand placement, plus and minuses, breaking down little notes that we see just as far as snap count, down and distance, where the offensive coordinator likes to go is at certain times, where the ball is on each hash. We have notes and things like that we present to the defensive line coach, and then here that I can speak on. Present it to the defensive line coach, and then he takes that and he reevaluates it, adds his own to it, and then presents it to the defensive line in meetings. Also uploading film continuously. People look at it as being a do boy, but there's different phases of a grad assistant or a student assistant. Here at NDSU, we have equipment staff that are GAs and student assistants. We have film staff that are GAs and student assistants. And we also have student assistant coaches. So they hold the GoPro. They do get water. They do grab bags. Yes, that is true. Those things do happen. But for my personal experience, it's just been as a GA, and like I said, at the Division I level, I do not know about that. So I don't know how they do it at the Division I single A level. But there's different rankings. There's guys who have paid their dues, guys who are second-year GAs, first-year GAs, guys who are still actually in grad school, so their schedule is different. And there's guys who are also they've already graduated from grad school. And because the term graduate assistant doesn't always mean 6-year grad. It can mean 4-year graduate, just a graduate with a degree that is an assistant coach. That's what GA means at that level. So when it comes to coach, and it's Benedict Hippolyte.
Hippolyte. Okay.
Benedict Hippolyte. He was a very fiery wide receiver coach at Booker T. Washington down in Opelika, Overtown, and in Miami. And you also got, when he moved from there, he went down to Hollandale as a head coach, and then he went to Miami Carroll City as a head coach also. And he's one of the coaches him and Coach Telly Lockett. Those two guys are big in South Florida. Huge respect, and to actually have them wear that Miami U now, oh man, recruiting is going to be very well for Miami.
I appreciate the correction there. I looked at his name so quickly, it looked like Brendan, and I just ran with it.
Oh, you're fine.
So that's Benedict. And again, his last name?
Hippolyte.
Hippolyte.
Yeah, Hippolyte.
Wholesome One, we are reaching India with Kane's Talk. Martin joining us from Mumbai, India. Good evening, everyone.
Wow.
For us, it's good afternoon. But Martin, we're glad you could hop on the stream with us here.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. We're international, Mark. We're international.
There we go.
The blessing.
We've got Michael Anthony and others who are wanting the rehire of Art Kehoe. Obviously, his investment in the program is legendary. 31 years with the program, 5 years at the offensive line coaching position.
Having Art Kehoe even wear the U again in any capacity would be huge. The only player, the only coach, the only administrator, the only person that is connected as either a GA or an actual position coach to all 5 national championships at the University of Miami is Art Kehoe. He's also one of the finest recruiters in college football. He was able to go when Larry Coker let go of him and he went up to Ole Miss. He was the one that was the lead recruiter and was able to go grab Blindside. That's why when you watch the Blindside movie, they actually have a Miami hat in there because, it was a shot at Miami with Art Kehoe leaving there and going to grab him while he was at Ole Miss. Art Kehoe is one of the best developers in Miami history also, whether it was bringing in a 5-star like Centrell Henderson, bringing in a 2-3 star like John Feliciano, bringing in a 3-star like Eric Flowers. He is one of the best developers and also recruiters. Man. He was able to get dog out of people and just pull it out of him. He's a little guy. I mean, he's probably like, I'm 5'11", so he's probably about like 5'9" ish. And I met him multiple times when I went on camps at the University of Miami, and he is just a fiery dude, and he's able to get you to know that you are great. He pulls that out of you. You're a dog. You're going to go out here and make the plays. I just got to pull it out you. I just got to teach you how to. But once I do, I know that you're going to go out here and make the plays. And the offensive linemen for decades love him. And whenever the offensive line is a problem and he is not the coach, which I think he should definitely be an answer and should be a part of Miami's staff moving forward. He should be on our staff because he is the answer to our offensive line issues. But Coach Garen Justice is here, and he also has reached out to multiple offensive linemen. Bryant McKinney has come back, and Vernon Carey has come back and helped and worked out with our offensive linemen. So I think we'll see Art Kehoe in some capacity over the next year or so start putting his fingerprints back on the University of Miami.
We've got several contributions to the super chat, so we appreciate that. I will make those acknowledgments, those recognitions, and get those to the screen as soon as I can.
Thank you, Michael. Michael Sears.
Understand here that I'm checking out the live chat, and like Michael Sears' comment was made at 2:24. It's like 2:46, so I'm like 22 minutes behind because I'm trying to make sure that we acknowledge these comments. So I'm going to catch up as best I can. But thank you so much for the contributions. We will get to those in just a second, but I wanted to lock in here on Michael Sears, certainly giving the Wholesome One some due respect. Best content always when it comes to, there you are. The you.
He knows. Appreciate it, Michael. He knows. What's understood goes without saying. He knows.
We got Daryl Huff commenting a day ago. Mark Rogers, can you get Butch Davis on the phone and ask him how he built Miami? How much respect's not the right word, adoration is given Butch Davis by the Miami fan base? The typical Miami fan, how did they view Butch Davis and his stay at Miami, and what's happened since?
Well, of course, the FIU and the guys falling out and catching cramps, and then his comment about they didn't boo when DJ Dallas broke his elbow. So that was not a good people are pretty angry about him now, but he's revered as top 3, probably any fan you talk to. Of course, you got Schnellenberger, the OG. You got Jimmy Johnson, and then behind those two, usually they put Butch. I mean, Coach Butch Davis's way of building Miami was through all of those sanctions. How you doing, Curveball? Good to see you. Through all of those sanctions, the cookies and cream. Lord.
What are we talking about here? What's the inside joke? What do we got?
Oh my goodness.
Can we let this one out?
Put me on the spot. Okay. So I call Bubba Bolden Light Skin Warrior, right? And so my subs and the people in my chat always mess with me and call him cookies and cream, because he's half African American, he's half white. So I call him not cookies and cream. I call him Light Skin Warrior, and they call him cookies and cream. I promised to never say cookies and cream, and I slipped up and said it one time. Oh, and they ran with it, Mark. And so whenever Bubba Bolden comes out, I say Light Skin Warrior, but everyone in the chat who's from the Wholesomeness channel, they hit me with the the cookies and cream term. So it's hilarious, man. And it's one of those things that it shows that we have an impact on people, and when we say things, it can take and run with it, and they love it. They love it. So that was the whole cookies and cream issue. See?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they get on me, man. They love it, and whenever it comes up, they just take off and run with it. But yeah, Coach Butch Davis is one of those guys that's revered, man, and they love him. They love him, and I've always loved him too. I mean, he gave my cousin Santana Moss an opportunity on a track scholarship to come there and to play at the University of Miami. So we got a love for Butch Davis too. And, going through those sanctions, that's where he learned how to get players in, through scholarship and get guys to walk on. But when it was time to get off of those sanctions, he can get you on a full ride football scholarship. And he played with the numbers and things of that nature. And he built that 2001 team. He just took the Browns job a year too early. So he's revered, respected at Miami. But we all wish that he would have been the coach to stay there for a while, because all the coaches took a pro step, and we were hoping that Coach Butch Davis would have stayed at Miami.
And after what happened to him in Cleveland, he probably wishes he would have stayed as well. Although he did take the Browns to their only playoff appearance since they came back as a franchise in 1999. So think about that. 21 years, they've been to the playoffs once. Butch Davis, 2002.
Absolutely. One of the best coaches in college football, at least to me, a top 15 coach. He just doesn't have the championship to put him over the top. But for us and anyone who ever did research into Miami while he was there, all the little things he pieced together and, being able to take that state of Miami to a different level, Butch Davis is definitely respected.
And if there's somebody here who researches these things and lays out college football history, that would be this guy right here waving his hand. And I've reminded people, as I have through the years, that if there's anything that can be disputed when it comes to sports championships, it would be college football champions. So, for example, in the year 2000, of course, Miami could have been playing for a national championship. They were not afforded that opportunity by the BCS system. But, of course, they beat the Florida State team that was playing in the national championship game against Oklahoma. So sometimes it just doesn't work out for you. But
we beat Oklahoma that year, too.
Pardon me?
We beat Oklahoma and Tallahassee that year.
Well, you didn't beat Oklahoma that year.
We didn't play Oklahoma that year?
They went undefeated. They won the national championship.
Oh, okay. They were undefeated.
2000.
Okay. I know
the issue that
nowhere in the world
season,
they should have been in that game.
The issue that season was that Florida State played Oklahoma in the national championship game and basically got shut out 13-2. Their defense scored the safety. So Miami beat Florida State. So, of course, Miami fans were saying we should have been in the national championship game, and rightfully so. I understand that. Both teams went 11-1. But Washington went 11-1, and they beat Miami. So Washington could have said, well, if Miami would have been in the game, then we should have been there. So it's one of these crazy BCS deals that never works out. And I could go year by year and tell you that it never did work out. Hurricane Logan, thank you so much for the contribution. You are just phenomenal, not just with the super chat contributions, but Hurricane Logan constantly touting us, saying, people like and subscribe. Juan Betancourt, Wholesome One, is Brian Hightower coming back?
No.
Yeah, we have plenty of wide receivers, but a taller, bigger, experienced Hightower would be a big plus.
I agree wholeheartedly. From what I know, which it's no on Brian Hightower. That ship has sailed. He's currently in California working out, and he's not enrolled in school right now. So 9 times out of 10, he's probably going to go JUCO and move on from there. So that's all I know when it comes to the Brian Hightower thing, but it's no longer a connection to the University of Miami.
We had noted a few minutes ago that Martin was joining us from India. Now he's got a question for us. Wholesome One, we have about 8 linebackers, but just 2 spots. So how do you get guys reps on the field?
Well, we would only have 4. We have 8 linebackers right now. He is correct. 8 scholarship linebackers. We only have 4 that are healthy for spring. So right now you got your 2 starters, you got 2 backups, then you got your walk-ons like Rigoni and these other guys. So what I believe is going to happen, and what a lot of people say we should do, is just go to the 4-3 just based on our numbers. But the health issue has been why. Pedro just said going back to a traditional 4-3. That would fix the issue with all of these linebackers, but I think it's mainly the fact that we going into year, like I said, 2.5, 3-ish of the 4-2-5, and we're also don't know the health of a lot of the linebackers, like BJ Jennings, who's had injury issues his entire career at Miami, like Patrick Joyner, who's coming off of a broken fibula in his leg. So that's going to take some time to come back from that. The hamstring issues and the ACL issues of one of my favorite linebackers on the team, Wayman Steed. So now you take 3 away from that, and now we're down to 5. So you don't really know the injury issue, but as far as the rep breakdown for spring, you got your 1s and 2s, and then you got walk-ons. And going into the fall, we'll have to just break it down and see who's healthy and who can produce for us at the University of Miami at the linebacker position. But I would say, you fly around a lot at linebacker, so you're going to need a blow. I think a lot of those first down linebackers like Zach McLeod won't be on the field for 3rd downs. So that opens up for our cover linebackers like Sam Brooks and Wayman Steed to get more reps on 3rd downs, or bringing in a safety or a striker inside of the box to play linebacker, like a Gilbert Frierson, like an Amari Carter, that can come in and play linebacker if need be, move from safety down.
You can all boo at the same time, but I've got my Florida State Seminoles live show coming up at 7 o'clock Eastern time tonight. So get in the live chat, and you can obviously troll the Noles. And we also talk Ohio State football. This is coming up very soon, 4 o'clock this afternoon, 4 o'clock Eastern time, Ohio State. Man, I don't even know if we go there when we talk 2021. Wonton Soup already asking about N'Kosi Perry getting the quarterback spot in 2021. Who knows what's going to happen between now and then?
The other thing is he going to stay a Miami Hurricane? That's a big issue. Is Coach Manny Diaz has basically made it known that he is not the biggest fan of N'Kosi Perry. N'Kosi Perry has also had his flashes. He's also had his downs, if we're being completely honest. And I know that by 2021, Tyler Van Dyke, someone they're high on, will be a redshirt freshman. Peyton Matocha and guys like that will still be on our roster. So I don't know if they're going to go with the experience of N'Kosi Perry, someone who they're iffy on, or they're going to go with the young guy like a Matocha or a Tyler Van Dyke. So that's my view on it. If you ask my personal opinion, I would love to see N'Kosi Perry do it, mainly because he beat Tallahassee, and I love him. I love his arm. I think we're in every game when he can and he is out there. He gives us an opportunity for a big play. I just hope that he can take that next step as a quarterback. And, not saying he can't read defenses. I don't like when people say stuff like that, but him being able to do it fluently, know what type of coverage he's going up against, where to go with the ball, where's my hot route, when to take off, all of those things. And I think that Coach Ritt Lashley and having De'Aaron King there, he can see somebody roll in this offense, hopefully win double-digit wins in this offense, and he can learn from an experienced QB that they share some similar traits, he can learn how to up his game, up the way that he studies and things of that nature. And he's shown it, man. He unfollowed everyone except for his offensive coordinator on Twitter the last couple of days. I think he deactivated his Instagram. I mean, he has been focused in when it comes to N'Kosi Perry. So, personal opinion, I think he does start against Alabama in 2021, but he would have to show us, and he would have to go take that job.
It's funny because I didn't think of this until you just made the Twitter mention, but you know who just became Facebook friends with N'Kosi Perry like in the last 3 days?
Who?
Me.
Oh.
I don't know why, but we did.
How do you know if that's really him, though?
That's a great question. I looked it over. I didn't give it a whole lot of thought, but I gave it a look. That's a good thought. I don't know if they certify Facebook accounts.
No, and then at the same time, all the fans that we have, who knows if that's.
I looked through it, and I don't know. There was nothing sketchy there or nothing to stay away from, so it wasn't a big deal one way or the other. Where am I going? I saw something here interesting. Shoot, I wanted to. So we got Black Magic 100. So Black Magic, I appreciate it here. That man, there you go. We get those two on at the same time. Yeah, we've got quite a show. I could just kick back and drink Mai Tais for the hour or something.
At Black Magic, I wouldn't advise you to protest, but if it gets it done soon, do what you got to do, man.
We don't need to protest in the meantime.
Get some pitchforks. Do your thing, man. I would love to share the same airwave with Cam Underwood, man. Someone who I've looked up to. And like I told Mark back in like 2015, 2016, I would check Mark's channel whenever it was like Miami Q&A or whatever. And, he would break down defensive line. He would do linebackers. And I'm like, this dude just knows his stuff. It just spews out of him. He didn't need notes. He just sits here. Yeah. This is back when he was in his office and he had the Michigan picture behind him because he's an alumni. Well, he didn't go to Michigan, but he went to Miami, but he's a Michigander, like I said, just knowing that about him, and things of that nature. So just to be able to have Cam Underwood, man, that would be touching.
And I remind people from time to time, whether it be Cam or the Wholesome One or somebody else, just appreciate the ability to get on here and just respond to anything involving depth charts and coaching staff changes and recruiting and all sorts of things that are going on here. So we appreciate that.
Excuse me.
No question about that. Shane Henry, and again, this doesn't look like I'll leave it up to you, but doesn't look like a question we can really respond to at this point because we haven't seen the young man play at this level to know that he can drop down to corner.
I think that's more of a depth issue question though, Mark. I mean, we have 5 scholarship corners, and I can see that happening. But like I said, you got Al Blaze Jr., you got Corey Couch, you got Christian Williams, you got what's my guy name? I went blank. Good. We got 5 scholarship corners, of course, Marcus Clark and DJ Ivy. Sorry, I apologize, guys. DJ Ivy. So we got those 5 guys, and then adding Avantae, who is a player that can play all across the board. But when you say can play something, that's like saying, can I shoot a 3-pointer? Yeah, it ain't going in. But at the same time, he can. He has that athletic ability to be out there. But I don't know if I would want to have him in a man coverage situation. Maybe some nickel. He isn't the fastest at a 4.5 40. He isn't the fastest player. But his size, as far as being 5'11", 170, he has the ability to go out there and do his thing. But I don't know if we want to have him there, but I can see him early on in his career, just like Jaquan Johnson. Jaquan Johnson came to Miami as a safety, but early on to get on the field, he played some nickel. So I can see it happen, especially with the lack of depth that we have at the cornerback position. Who's better?
Appreciate the contribution right there.
Williams? Depends on what you're looking for. I mean, one is 5'11", 170-pound playmaker. The other is a 6'4" specimen who flies but can knock your head off. My personal opinion, I'm going with Avantae. Why? Because Avantae's actually a Cane. Avantae picked us over the University of Florida Gators, and he put pen to paper because of his relationship with Ephraim Banda and the addition of Ed Reed. So I'm going to go with the guy who is a Miami Hurricane currently, Avantae Williams.
Ballard Sports Media is telling us the news just broke that former Alabama defensive back Ayabe Anoma got kicked out of Houston for the same issues that caused him to be done at Alabama. Interestingly enough, when he was a prep star, I interviewed him right here, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, so you could search that interview. He was a very interesting interview subject in that he had only been playing high school football for 1 or 2 years, but he was such an amazing athlete coming over from, I believe, India, that he just rose up the recruiting rankings and became like a top 20 player, regardless of position. Was that just dynamic? But who knows where he's headed. But obviously, the young man's having some issues acclimating himself to the discipline of what it takes to be a student athlete at this level, getting kicked out of a second school now. So
wish him nothing but the best. I hope he can get it together. Hope he can pull it all together, man. We want to see people succeed, man.
Ballard, we appreciate the news. Yes, we keep this open for all fan bases. So thank you so much.
Ballard.
Man, there's so many questions here. And again, I am like 25 minutes behind here. And we've had, we want to recognize everybody certainly that contributes here. Finally made the show, Hurricane Harden. We appreciate that you can.
Thank you, Hurricane Harden.
And let's also keep in mind that if you jumped into the live stream late, this thing will process and post within minutes. So anything that you missed, just go back and rewatch what you weren't able to get to. I send out the notification as soon as the Wholesome One and I can determine what time we can get together each and every week. We try to make this a weekly thing and have for the past several weeks. So that's why it's vital that you subscribe to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Turn on the notifications. You get it. And you know when we're going to be on here live. And if you love college football across the board, this is the place to be. We got 2 other live streams today with Ohio State at 4 and Florida State at 7 o'clock Eastern time. I have given and taken away, I should say, from the Wholesome One a little too extra much time here. So we appreciate the Wholesome One jumping on here for an hour plus today to answer your comments and questions. And keep in mind that if we didn't get to them, just copy and paste your comment or question. This is what you do. Copy and paste your comment and question. Just leave it in the comment section of any of the Miami videos, and we will do our best to get to it next week or the next week after that.
Absolutely. And on my way out, you guys know something we started last week, #RewatchSquad. If you did not make it here during the live, and I saw a lot of people doing the #RewatchSquad. So it's amazing that you all come back and that you get a chance to rewatch it after the live is posted. For everyone that is here, I can't see the chat. So just thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Mark, for giving me an opportunity to come on this platform and speak about the University of Miami in the way that I do love the University of Miami, and I love the University of Miami's football program, man. Have a great rest of your day, guys. I would love it if you came on over and subscribe to the Wholesome One's channel, HOLSUM, the #1 Holloway, HOLLOWAY. And, come hang with me, man. God bless, and have a great rest of your day. Go Canes.
Absolutely. And again, Newbie Doobie, thank you so much for the comment. We appreciate it. And we're coming back at 4 o'clock Eastern time with Ohio State football talk with Ohio State contributors. And of course, Florida State coming up at 7 o'clock Eastern time. See you soon. In the meantime, like, comment, share the videos, and subscribe.